Hey everybody, and welcome to Our Old Movies Good. I am your host, Ben Lewis. I am here with Kevin Chang and Eric Lane, and today we are talking about On the Waterfront, the Horizon Pictures and Columbia Pictures classic with Marlon Brando suffering an existential crisis as a longshoreman / gangster trying to decide if he should do the right thing and rat out some of his co-conspirators. So that brings us to the titular or eponymous question. Are old movies good? Is this old movie good? I think this is a good but not great movie. And I'm going to give a working definition of great. I can use going forward, or I'll use going forward. A great movie is one that is engaging both emotionally and intellectually. Very engaging emotionally and intellectually. And this movie was not very engaging on either level. It was somewhat engaging on both levels. What did you think, Eric Michael Lane?
Thanks, man. I think they should change the title of the movie to something involving a pigeon. There should be a pigeon in the title of this movie. It was basically a movie about pigeons. But so I didn't think it was very good. I didn't really like it that much, but not because it was old. I don't think the fact that it was old had much to do with whether or not it was good or bad. Although there were a lot of things that made
There's
it.
some old issues.
Yeah, there were some issues because it was so old. I just didn't think the story was very good. I didn't think the movie was very good. I don't know why people think this movie is so good. That's my global position on this movie.
I think this movie's a turd. But it's
You are what you eat, right?
this movie eats turds?
Apparently.
This movie has an incredible performance by Marlon Brando, but it's problematic in that a lot of the old movie tropes are used in it, such as the battle against corruption and the bizarre misogyny that's in this movie. Make it not so great. Pacing, it's not that great.
Oh, yeah. Definitely a slow start.
Oh, it's fucking boring.
It
Oh my
takes
god.
a long time to get going. And I think if we're talking problems, we should just really get into the Terry and ED relationship, because I think it's the biggest problem with the movie. The scenes I liked the least involved those two together, with a couple of exceptions, and it really is a gross relationship and kind of uncomfortable at times.
I don't know. Maybe more movies should be made about dock workers. Do you think there should be a sequel? Dock workers sequel?
What would the sequel be? Like, there's just a new crime boss that comes in after Johnny Friendly, and then it's just the same corruption.
It's just such an exciting,
face.
Great subject matter.
Corruption wins in the end.
So, full disclosure, my grandfather was a longshoreman in Brooklyn. Swear to God, not making that up. He
was a member of the mob.
I think he was the guy getting shit on, just like all the other characters.
Was he deaf and dumb? Was he D&D like the other characters?
I don't know. I never spoke to him. He died before I was born.
I'm
but
sorry.
Well, if it's anything like Eric,
I'm getting over it. It's been a tough run to deal with.
If it's anything like Eric, he was probably deaf and dumb.
Yeah, he didn't know. He was too dense to figure out what was happening.
Dumb and deaf.
Inside story, he was a boxer before he became a longshoreman, and so.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wait.
Dead serious.
Is this movie about
It
your
is, yeah. It's about my grandfather. Yeah.
Named Terry?
Yeah, Terry, Johnny, Joey. One of those names. I don't even actually know his first name, but it had to be one of those names.
Mickey.
All right, well, should we just start at the beginning here, and we'll break it down as we go through. So the movie begins with Marlon Brando coaxing some guy. Guy named Joey to the rooftop via Eric's favorite bird, pigeons. Eric's just.
God damn it with the pigeons! Oh my
and he
God!
gets to the roof, and there are a couple of shadowy mobsters waiting for him.
Okay, can we go through the opening scene? Because again, maybe I'm not as smart as you guys, but what was
the first step?
What was happening there? So Brando is.
I can't believe you were confused by this.
No. What's the plan? So Brando, he and this guy, they do pigeon stuff together. And
yeah, they race
pigeons on the roof. We'll go hang out with the pigeons.
No. They raced pigeons. One of his pigeons got lost and went to Brando's coop, Terry's coop, and so he let the pigeon go to let him know, hey, here's your pigeon back, and then he'd go upstairs and put his pigeon back in the coop because they return home. They're territorial.
Right, but to Terry or Brandau was caught in this plan to push him off the roof, right? The mobster guys.
Just to get him out.
The mobster said, get this guy on the roof. We want to rough him up a little bit.
Yeah, because he's holed up in his apartment.
He
doesn't want... He's going to talk to the cops the next day.
He's just trying to lay low and not... He doesn't want to go out. He's just going to stay in until his hearing the next day.
But Terry is his friend. They both race pigeons together.
To his detriment.
Yeah. He goes out and be like,
but at the time, I mean, you find out all the pigeon stuff later, because there's a lot of pigeon stuff in this
it's weird.
movie.
Some movies will show you something, then kind of explain more later.
But were you not a little confused at the time? Like, what? The pigeons? What is he talking about, the pigeons? When he falls off the roof, it was like, I thought it was confusing.
It was... No, I wasn't really that confused. It was, okay.
So he sees you hear that guy fall, and you hear him fall.
But so the idea is this guy has to die, the mobsters have to kill him, Terry has to be somewhat involved but doesn't really know exactly what happened, and that's the plan that they came up with. I think that's stupid. Like,
okay, so you've got a guy holed up in his apartment, you want to kill him, and you've got somebody who can get him out onto the rooftop so you can make it look like he fell. That's a stupid plan to you. How would you do it? What's the Eric Lane, I got to kill a guy because...
First, I would not involve pigeons. That would be my first...
Wait.
Why would you even care? You just want him on the rooftop. You didn't give a fuck what...
Is that a thing that people do?
Yeah.
That's a real thing.
Okay, so you've seen John Wick 2, the...
Lawrence Fishburne, yeah.
He's got pigeon.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson.
Isn't there something in what's the boxing movie, $1 Million Baby? Isn't there something with pigeons in that, too? No?
I don't remember pigeons in
One
that
of the Karate Kid movies.
It's been a good decade at least.
All right.
Wait.
All right, we can move on for a second.
She was a Karate Kid.
Yeah, she was in one of the Karate Kid. Yeah,
that's the thing nobody does.
Karate Kid 3, I think
she's hey, you get him onto the roof. You get him on the roof, and we're going to talk to him a little bit.
Can we do more of the monster
Bring him your pigeons. Hey, bring him your pigeons. Do something with the pigeon. I don't give a... Do something with the fucking pigeons and get him on the roof. We just want to talk to him a little bit. That's what he does. Goes to the roof thinking he's going to meet Terry up there.
Or at least pick up his pigeon.
Yeah. And nope. Okay. He's pushed off.
Then he falls off, splat on the ground.
Yep. And that kills him, just to be clear. He dies.
Terry was shocked.
Do we know he died?
I think we know definitively that he's dead. But
Terry was shocked that he died.
Terry, legitimately, he seems like a pretty stupid guy, so he legitimately was surprised that they killed him and was shocked. And this starts the whole existential crisis, moral crisis he has with his entire life. But this is exacerbated by the character Edie, played by Eva Marie Saint, who is, I guess, the epitome of, virtue and innocence, being that she's going to a school taught by nuns.
And she's blonde.
And
apparently
blonde,
that's a big thing.
She has never seen bad stuff in her entire life, apparently.
Even though she grew up being raised by a longshoreman.
Yeah, this is apparently the first bad stuff she's seen, but she's quite upset and wants to figure out who killed
But her brother, Joey, was a saint.
Did they all live in that apartment? I was confused by that, too.
Well,
that
she's going to school somewhere...
At a Covenant or something
upstate
like that?
New York, wherever, yeah. Not in the city.
Yeah, taught by nuns.
But the dad, who is Willem Dafoe, I guess. That was Willem Dafoe, right?
Yeah,
that old
you're
guy?
right. You're exactly right.
But so he and Joey live in that apartment, right?
Yes.
Correct. And Joey's mother lives there also.
We never see Joey's mother, though.
Did she die at some point?
I think
she was dead. He referenced her.
Yeah,
he
referenced
right.
her
Nope,
being dead.
I'm wrong. That's right. Correct. She's dead.
Your mother didn't get to see you.
So, anyway. She's Joey's brother, and Terry starts to fall for her.
Joey!
That's Kevin's really wonderful Marlon Brando impersonation.
So, this movie is basically just about snitching. This movie should be called Pigeon the Snitch Story or something like that.
What is it? Snitches get stitches? Is that the saying?
Yeah.
Pitches?
Yeah, I mean, that's
Pitches
really what
get
this movie is
stitches.
all... They talk about it over and over and over again about talking
Okay,
to
well,
the
give
cops.
some backstory as to why that is. This is just a...
So there's a union. It's the local 1-3 whatever. It's some number. And they do all the contracts for people that want to unload stuff on the docks in this, in New York, in this particular harbor. And they're very corrupt. They take kickbacks. They use bribes. They take most of the money. They decide who gets to work and who doesn't. And there's a deep ingrained culture of silence. They use the slang D&D, being deaf and dumb. You don't see anything. You don't talk to the cops. And
yeah, and this has to do with the House of Un-American Activities.
Oh, you want the extraneous, extra cinema. So the director is Elia Kazan, He ratted 8 other people out in Hollywood for being former communists, and this is in the 50s when everybody's freaking out. This is back when being a communist was a bad thing. This is back when connections to Russia was considered a real big problem. And so he ratted people out to this House of Un-American Activities Commission, and then this is largely regarded as his response to that, his sort of defense of his choice to do that, of ratting those people out. So when you see Marlon Brando going through his angst, you can imagine the director going through this.
Yeah, because
wrestling with those stuff.
Because as we talked about, Joey falls off the roof, and then the rest of the movie is literally just about Brandau, or Terry is his character's name, whether or not he'll talk to the cops about that, or about the general corruption, but mostly about the death of Joey.
That's
that's how he and
the catalyst of
Edie talk. That's everything about the rest of the movie is this guy falling off the roof or getting pushed. And then whether or not he talks to cops. And they just beat you over the head with that over and over and over and over and over again. It's too much.
What movies do. I mean, Dunkirk is about survive. I mean, they beat you over the head with the survival theme.
But that's the scene. I mean, that's it. That is it. But at one point, I think 45 minutes into this movie, I'm like, this has got to be almost over. And it was like 45 minutes. It's still like an hour and a half left.
It's about 45 minutes to an hour before I started to get a little bit emotionally invested in the movie. It's somewhere around then I started to be like, okay, I do care a little bit. I was pretty bored until then. Right around when he has a conversation in the bar with Evie that I think is, he shouldn't be romantically interested in, and that's just a complicated, shitty thing because there's all sorts of uncomfortableness there. But I like the conversation in the bar about him defending his moral choices and his lifestyle and kind of explaining his philosophy.
Yeah, the best thing about
the conversation that was interesting to me.
The best thing about this movie is all the stuff we didn't see. It was like his background would have made a way better movie than what we actually saw, I think.
What, him selling out as a boxer would
have
been more interesting?
We'll go through it, but
dives?
The absolute best scene in this movie is him and his brother in the car.
Sure.
I mean, that was phenomenal. It was just great acting. The dialogue was great. It was powerful, emotional. But that's it. I mean, there's like a 15-minute scene, and we move on. And that would have made such a cool movie, that story.
What story do you think wasn't told? What background did you want?
The Terry as a boxer, him going through and could have been a contender, him going through and having to take dives for his brother who's in the mob, making those choices, and his brother not even realizing that he's doing it and thinking he's doing something good for Terry.
So what's the catalyst then for them to rethink their moral choices and decide it was bad? What gets us to that scene in the back of that mob cap?
I don't know. Just anything other than some guy falling off the roof and then chasing pigeons for an hour, I guess. I don't know.
Something other than your choice leading to somebody dying and that being causing a crisis of conscience. I think that's a perfectly plausible reason to reevaluate your choice. And it's not even until Charlie is forced to decide to kill his brother or not until he really rethinks his life choices. I mean, that's what gets us to that scene. He's in a position where he has to murder his brother or be killed. And he ultimately decides, in that great scene, which is probably the best scene in the movie, he decides, okay, you know what? I would rather die than kill my brother. Ultimately, I've led us to this shitty situation, and I'm going to die, and hopefully my brother can make it out of this.
So since we're talking about it, I'll just play a brief clip from that scene.
You was my brother, Charlie. You should have looked out for me a little bit. You should have taken care of me just a little bit so I wouldn't have to take them dives for the short end money.
Well, I had some bets down for you. You saw some money.
You don't understand. I could have had class. I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody.
Instead of a bum.
You want to hear the rest of that?
Marlon Brando's here, you guys, back from the dead.
Instead of a bum, which is what I am.
Yeah, that's good. That's pretty solid. But, yeah, so I think that's by far the best scene in the movie. It's most powerful, but it's just you could have cut that scene and the movie would have been totally the same.
No, I think that scene is the linchpin of the entire movie.
Pivotal.
It's the scene where they both make the choices that they're going to make. I guess Marlon Brando has a couple other choices to make.
What other choice does he make? I mean, how did that change what he was going to do?
First of all, his brother gets killed, and he's maybe going to shoot the other mobster guys and decides not to.
But couldn't an argument be made they were going to kill his brother anyways? Regardless of how did the gangsters know that he didn't kill him?
There was a mob cab driver, and he said, "Take me here," and he knew he was going to get taken somewhere and killed. And
they were going to take him there anyways. He was already dead.
I disagree with you, and I don't know where you have evidence to support your claim, but movies, you can believe whatever you want. I mean,
he told Terry to take this easy, cushy job. Don't talk. We'll set you up as a manager somewhere.
But none of that was real. Like, he's not going to.
What? I felt like
none of that stuff was on the table. They'd already ordered him to be dead.
Well, maybe, but I didn't get that impression.
Well,
it was why have this elaborate ruse about, look, we're going to get you this job, kid. Why not just have killed him earlier? Is that just to bring him out?
Yeah, it seemed to me they were just ordering, go get him and kill him, so he doesn't talk to the cops. He's already made his choice.
There was a scene before that where Charlie the gent was talking to Friendly, and they were trying to decide, is he going to turn or not? And then Charlie was like, I don't know. Let me talk to him. And so that's what happened.
Friendly made it pretty clear. It's either my way or your brother's way. You can't have both, or whatever he says in his mob voice.
Well, okay.
So it's very clear. You shut him up or I'm going to shut you up, and it needed to happen.
Let's take a step back. So after Joey dies, next scene is basically at the bar, right? Or where, I don't know where they were, restaurant or something?
Yeah, they were a bar, backroom pool hall.
Yeah.
They
Something
were
that Johnny
splitting out their
Friendly's
money.
place, I think.
Yeah, and so then you're introduced
Friendly.
to Johnny Friendly. That's the first time you see him.
What a great name, Johnny Friendly.
Yeah, the names in this movie, we talked about it. Edie, Johnny, Tony. I don't know if there was a Tony. Terry, Joey. It's just stupid, terrible names. Those are bad
What
names.
would you go with? It's
Anything.
1954.
Ben,
What are stupid names?
Kevin.
Eric, Kevin, and Ben are stupid names. Very stupid.
That's
Very
like
dumb.
a child wrote those names. Like, let's think of some names. Okay, Joey.
You
Johnny.
think there were any people named that in the 50s? You think
That
they
didn't
just
bug
made
you?
it up?
You think that's a good...
I don't really care. It fit
whatever.
with the weird aesthetic of the movie. I
It's stupid.
didn't care.
It's
I don't know
dumb.
what names you'd go with. You fixate on some weird...
I don't know. What was your grandfather's name, the longshoreman? Mickey?
It was Lewis, actually.
Louis?
Yeah.
Oh, my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
Louis.
Louis Lane.
Yeah.
Was his arm 2 inches longer from...
Might have
swinging
been.
the
I
hook?
don't know. I have no idea.
Right.
But yeah, so there's a lot of grab-assing in that scene.
There was.
There was a lot of grab-assing. I think Johnny really had a thing for Terry.
Yeah, he said it,
He's
so.
rubbing his leg and his back, and he shoves money down his pants. There was a lot of grab-assing in that scene. Anybody else pick up on that? No?
You seem to have enjoyed it, though.
I thought it was
I
funny.
took not as much pleasure as you took
I
from
thought it
it.
was funny. I thought it was
So
funny.
you got some enjoyment from the movie. Yeah,
It made me laugh. And then the banker's name is J.P. Morgan. I thought that was kind of funny. The sleazy mob banker. No? Okay. Whatever.
I didn't catch that. So
Let's focus on the grab ass.
There was a lot of grab-assing. He's rubbing his back. He's talking about how he's a great boxer, and he's got his arm on him the entire scene. A lot of grab-ass.
So you're thumbs-upping the grab ass. Just
I'm a big fan
you're
of
giving your
grab-ass.
approval of grab ass.
And
Okay.
he gave him money for nothing. It's the money.
Right. Because you liked him so much.
Yeah. After he grabbed him.
So, all right. So,
So I buy the moral crisis that he has, largely because Brando does such a good job of it, although his brother does really good in that scene. I mean, he's giving the assist. The heavy lifting's been done by Brando. But I didn't buy the relationship between Marlon Brando's character, Terry, and Edie.
is Brando just like an idiot?
He's
very
a
dumb.
dumb
He
guy.
plays-
In real life, though,
Well, probably. Yeah.
I mean, because seriously, to me, it seemed like Schwarzenegger could have been that character. Like, I'm not saying Schwarzenegger has the acting chops, but like
you, Edie.
there was some of that. He's just a big oaf. He was just a big dummy, and
He played a big oaf really well in
yeah.
this movie.
I think he was
That's
so
what
mad.
Has he ever
that
not
tricked
played
you into
that, though?
thinking he's dumb. I do think that's how good of an actor
Wow.
Marlon
Okay.
Brando can
Well,
be.
maybe that's what it is.
I mean, he really was the first real star of the method, or want to popularize that whole.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed like just a
being
big
a
dummy. I mean, really.
He really does embody the character, and I think it really is a very good performance, to great performance, depending on your point of view. But
On a scale of density from Eric Lane to Ben
Like, you
Lewis, where
criticize-
do you think he sits on that?
He's on the spectrum,
you
for
criticize
sure.
Humphrey
He's
Bogart
on the
for not being an actor. I don't think you
density
do the
spectrum.
same for Marlon Brando. I think he's clearly doing an excellent job. I mean,
Well,
there are
so-
problems with the script, and the misogyny is awful, and the relationship is just, ugh.
So I also had a problem. Maybe this is a unique thing for me, but I'm a huge fan of Godfather. I think it's one of the greatest movies ever. And the whole time I'm watching this movie, I'm wondering, like, is this a... I've seen a better backstory to Vito Corleone in Godfather 2, and this to me seemed like very similar. Like, yes, it's Brando. He's young.
Why do you say Brandao?
Brando? What's
You
his...
said that twice.
Brando?
Brando.
Okay, sorry, Brando. Sorry.
I'm sorry, just the Brandao was weird to me. I just didn't know where that was coming
Martin Brando.
Sorry, I always thought that's what his name was. I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. Now you know. The more
But
you know.
like the whole time, I was like, "This would be a cool." I wish this was just a Vito Corleone story. Like he's a boxer, you know, or he's like an orphan in this movie, right? Isn't Terry? Him and his brother were like orphans or something.
Yeah. John Friendly took him to baseball games.
Yeah, and then because that's what kind of Vito did, right? Like he sort of worked his way into the mob, and then saw that the guy that was the mob was like not doing it well and was taking advantage of people, and then he kind of just muscled his way in there. I was kind of hoping that's how this movie would end.
So instead of ratting out, he becomes the mob boss?
Yeah.
He becomes the
It's
John
like a
Friendly?
good mob boss. It's not stealing dues. He's actually helping people, and that's what Corleone was, right? No? Okay.
So confused by all this.
Yeah, I don't know what to take.
Did you never think of Godfather once when you watched this movie?
I didn't really.
I didn't
He
at all.
plays a really dumb guy who doesn't seem like he'd be very good at
He
making
has no
decisions.
ambition, even though he somehow started some Golden Warrior club.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, that you're talking about the pigeon thing again? Yeah.
It always comes
Christ.
back to pigeons.
With
there.
the little kids on the roof with the pigeons. Like, God damn it. How much screen time is devoted to pigeons in this movie?
Not enough.
It was
really.
symbolic. So there's hawks, which clearly the mobsters were hawks. They even portrayed them hawk-like on the roof, just waiting for the little pigeon. And they talked about how pigeons get eaten by hawks. It was just a theme.
And Marlon Brando's ultimately a champion of pigeons, the little guys. He decides he's going to fight for them instead of the hawks.
Yeah, just beautiful.
Would you like
Beautiful
this movie
symbol.
better if it were just like an animated movie about pigeons?
No, I would not.
Hey, look out for the hawks! Oh no, we're just pigeons.
Pigeons was a huge theme. Like, even when they were trying to get the tokens.
But you just say that sentence again. Pigeons was a huge theme of this movie.
It was. It was symbolism.
It was still mystified that you wanted him to just be a good mob boss. You wanted him to just take down the king and replace him and just be good.
Yeah, well,
That's what The Godfather is.
Whether or not Vito Corleone or Don Corleone, whatever, is good is, I think, a morally ambiguous question. So the idea that he's some champion of the people, I don't think is as overt, but we're steering into a different movie we should just steer out of.
Okay, so got a question. Is this movie anti-union or pro-union?
it was anti-corruption. I don't know if it was
I don't think it's anti-union. I view it as pro-corruption or pro-truth, honesty. I think it's more anti-communist than anything else. I mean, you know, we have the easy money boys that gets referenced. You have these people who are just getting paid and doing no work, right? This is what the mob is doing. They're just sitting there while the other guys are down in the, you know, actual crates pulling up the stuff. And the other guys just take the money. They take your cut while you work for it. This is what communists do. This is what they're doing.
Isn't that, I mean, couldn't you make the argument that in framing it that way, the film is basically saying, like, unions and communism are the same thing, and they're both prone to corruption and prone to taking advantage of the workers? I guess I kind of read it as an anti-union movie.
I didn't. I mean, we're heroically, you know, he's not leading the union, but he leads the workers into the, you know, shipping yard at the end of the movie, right? So it's happy that they're working together. They just have to fight corruption. They have to be honest and truthful.
And then they
Keep
kind of
people
take the
from
power back to the
Yes.
people, kind of in the end.
Yes, then it's the people, the hardworking Americans who are not going to let the easy money boys steal from them. You know, their hard-earned dollars. So I don't know. I mean, I'm really glad it didn't end after the. He does decide to testify against Johnny Friendly, and I'm glad the movie doesn't end there. It initially really sucks for Terry. His pigeons get killed. Sadly.
What is up with that? So some kid just kills like 5 dozen pigeons. That's like a sign of becoming a serial killer. They really should find out what happened to that
little Aryan kid probably should be looked into, but that just shows how pervasive.
Did the kid just do it on his own?
Yeah, he was so pissed off that he testified that he.
Because wasn't that his friend? That was the kid he was doing the whole pigeon stuff with.
Yes. Yeah, the kid that he was doing the pigeon stuff with.
He was doing pigeon stuff with this little kid. You're right.
I mean literally pigeon stuff, not whatever else you're thinking about.
Was that when you bob your head up and down?
Could be. Where do you put the cracker? Oh boy,
you cretins! You disgust me.
He's pecking at his screen right here.
I'm not sure how to transition from that, folks.
So there's the bar scene, and then all sorts of shit starts happening, and then there's the church scene, right? That's like a 45-minute long thing where they tell Terry to go to the church because they were going to meet with the preacher guy.
And they wait for him and they leave and they beat the shit out of everybody.
Right, yeah.
All the mob guys.
There was a lot of religious themes in this movie, too.
Yeah, there's a priest constantly, vying to fight with the people who are fighting corruption. Christ is there with you. Christ is there with you when you're taking a shit. That guy, Christ is there when you're at Caribou and asked to moose your coffee. I mean, there's lots of linking capitalism with God and corruption with the communists.
Well, and then Edie was sort of like this virginous
she's absolutely
entity.
The model of virtuousness and, innocent.
She was an angel.
She's never had any alcohol before she meets Terry, and Terry
She can take that whiskey down for never having
and she
had
gets
alcohol.
drunk really quick. Really quick. And it's pretty, So Terry coaxes Edie into getting a beer. She's never had beer, and he basically begs, and she acquiesces. And so he doesn't just start with beer. He gives her a shot of, I guess, whiskey, and then a beer. And then has her do the shot, and she downs it like a champ.
2 for 1. Well, she sips
it
first, then she's like, ooh, like she kind of likes it. Which is crazy. I mean, that's probably rubbing alcohol, back then. It wasn't, nice, Johnny Walker that they're drinking. These are, poor people. It was probably...
That was the best you could think of.
Yeah.
That's the acme of alcohol. If you think you know a better brand, you're wrong.
But she takes a sip, and the first time you take a sip of whiskey, it's going to taste disgusting.
It burns. And
but she's, ooh, what is this? And then he tells, no, you got to drink the whole thing, and slams it down.
Well, that's the thing about this movie. There's some people that are doing stage acting, and she was doing stage acting. It wasn't realistic, her reaction to drinking alcohol for the first time. And then you've got Terry, who's all broody, and he's doing a modern acting, and he's actually trying to act like how a real person would. And I think that comes off as very jarring to me, at least. Especially the first time after they run away and they kind of meet, after they run away from the church and avoid getting the shit kicked out of them, they kind of walk around, right? Because they meet up later in the park, and she drops her glove, and he picks it up, and he starts putting it on.
He put it on. I did not understand that.
I don't get that either. It is a awkward scene, and she doesn't react to it because she's too busy trying to remember her lines or whatever, and he's just riffing on this stupid glove.
So this is only the second movie Brando was in. According to IMDb, he was in a movie called The Men in 1950, and
no, he's been in a lot more.
Streetcar was 1951. And then Julius Caesar, the Wild One, and then On the Waterfront. So he had been in a couple movies before that.
And he was a stage actor before that. He was the actor for Streetcar on Broadway before it became a movie.
Yeah, that's correct. I believe Kevin.
And he was nominated for an Oscar in Streetcar, and he was nominated for an Oscar in Julius Caesar. This was his first winning performance, rightly so.
I just think the best part of this movie is the brother relationship. Like you said, the relationship between Edie and Terry was not well done, and it didn't seem real.
No, it didn't.
You mean when he
physically
assaulted her?
Yeah, basically rapes her. It's super awful. You had problems with Ilsa and Rick Blaine, but boy, I thought this was way worse than that.
This was way worse. He breaks into her place, and she's already, even before he even comes up, she's cowering on her bed, hugging her pillow for some reason. And then we cut to him like pounding on the door, and then her telling him to leave, and he breaks in. I guess she was sad because he had told her about Joey. He had what he did.
Yeah, he confessed that he was responsible for doing
that was a great scene.
And I like that scene. That was an interesting choice when we have the train. There's a train that drives by, as you said.
It was like a tugboat or something.
And it just blares really loudly. So we can't really hear what they're saying. We just see the reaction. I thought that was more effective than just choosing just seeing them talk. I like that choice for sure. But yeah, I hated the whole relationship. I didn't buy that she would be into him, and I guess maybe I buy that he would be into her, but it was just, a real rapey vibe, to say the least.
She's in a little, the night dress or whatever.
Thing. Yeah,
that must have been pretty racy back in the 50s.
Did you find it racy now?
No, not now, but things have changed.
I thought it was a little, I was surprised that she was so scantily dressed in the scene. It's just like, do I want them to be together? No, I don't really want to see them interact at all. I kind of wish she'd get on that bus and go back to that nun college, and then Terry can just do what he's going to do.
But she's the impetus for him getting a conscience. And the speeches that he's giving her, she's kind of swaying his opinion about
Sure, it's aspirational. Right.
Yeah, because he would be happy just to, dump it and then think about other things, but she forces him to think about his conscience.
Right. He has his rationalizations, he says them, and she comes back with whatever she even says. I don't even remember the specifics, but...
it was all rainbows and unicorns was basically her speech.
Yeah.
It also didn't seem like, the whole time he was with her, didn't seem like he was trying to get to the bone zone.
It didn't seem like that?
No, not really. He was...
See, the whole glove thing was a weird pickup line that didn't make any sense. Like, I'm going to put on this glove and she'll laugh and think it's awesome and want me. That's the vibe I got. It was stupid. It wasn't a choice I would make, but I felt like that was his way of impressing her with his comedy.
Love glove?
Yeah, sure. If the glove fits, you must hit it. I don't know.
It was very suggestive. I'll wear a glove for you, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, he's getting her drunk and dancing with her, and he's into it.
So, yeah, he's kind of a shy guy. He's kind of a moron.
Forrest Gump type, kind of.
He's a little dense.
Yeah, there's a little Forrest Gump there, sure.
And they always reference it because
was she taking advantage of him then?
The mobsters reference about how often he got beat in the head and how he's not that bright of a kid. And she's a college girl. She's smarter than him, no doubt.
But it kind of made sense, why she'd be intrigued by him. If you think about it, she's a church girl, and he's kind of a
bad boy.
Nice girl, bad boy. So full on the racial and gender politics. Well, we didn't talk about racial politics. You brought it up with Casablanca.
Because there's one black guy in this movie.
That begs the question. We should point out we're two white dudes and an Asian dude. Cisgender male talking about race like we really know what we're saying. But how did you feel? Just if they ignore race altogether, you prefer that to showing a power disparity? There's one black guy and he's just one of the many. He's just eating a sandwich and trying to work his job as a long short.
Yeah, not to keep bringing this up, but the Godfather, there's is there any minorities in that entire movie, the first movie or the second movie? Not really.
Consider Italians a minority, but
okay.
Thanks
for pointing that out.
Well,
but so it's not like they just don't address it in any way. And I think this movie, this movie is less racist than Casablanca. Is that what you're asking? I think it's true. Yeah,
I'm asking your opinion. Yeah,
you'd
rather just show white people and just not.
There were maybe 2 or 3 black actors in this movie, and they were just in the union, just like everybody else. There was no difference in their status.
They never called him boy.
Never called him boy. That's true.
Okay. Just curious.
But there's one female character, and then
there is one female character.
Pointed
She's
out
the only woman in the whole movie.
There's a couple. There's the one that gets married when they're at the bar. There's they're having a bridal shower.
The old lady that screams when Joey falls.
Oddly freaked out by the party. I didn't really get that. She's there. She's trying to leave, and then everybody's wearing her. She's like, "Oh, I'm so scared and intimidated by all these people." Okay.
They were having
New York, it's a powder keg filled with lots of people.
They were having a fun time. She's never seen that
threatened
before.
by that? Yeah, I don't know. And I didn't. Yeah, well, we see a character get killed by getting whiskey dumped on him. Basically, it's pretty unconvincing. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, yeah. KO.
Coat.
And he doesn't even try to. Yes, the guy with the coat. He doesn't even try to dodge. He just stands there horrified.
I'm a walking distillery. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, because he was gonna then talk to the Doc Union FBI or whatever it was.
The people that talk
Crime
get
Commission.
Killed. So Joey gets killed, and then this other guy is going to testify, and he gets killed.
And that's when the priest gives his rousing speech.
Carl Malden plays a very involved priest who's trying to get everybody riled up, and apparently doesn't work on anybody but Terry, I guess. Everybody else just kind of sits there, listens, and acts like they care, and then refuses to do anything.
But how does Edie get there so quickly? Is she just like waiting outside? Because she's there with her father.
I mean,
somehow.
I assume they live close to the dock. I guess
And she heard about the news all of a sudden?
Distance, and he just
like,
goes from his apartment and walks down to the docks. You know,
Yeah, they just hey, by the way, the bunch of whiskey bottles fell on this guy. Can you come down to pick him up? What's the phone call to the preacher like?
I bet somebody
pick up the
ran.
body.
I think somebody ran to the preacher. I mean, the priest. I mean, I'm pretty sure that parish was just right there.
Edie just happened to be there, just sitting by.
I guess. I mean, the priest had his own creepy relationship with Edie, so.
He did. He didn't care at all about any of this until Edie was like,
pleads, I want to know who killed my brother. Sure.
And then he was like, all right, maybe this will get me in the bone zone.
Yeah, but I assume everything's close. I mean, I guess maybe that's a problem, but I felt like everything was pretty close to the docks. That the apartment was close. That the, cathedral was close to the docks. That everyone was like all in the neighborhood. That everything was just right there. So I don't think anybody was taking a bus to work. They were just like walking down the street. Time to eat.
Was this in New York? Did they establish that at any point in the movie? I think I remember on one of the boats it said New York. I
assumed it was.
They never said it though, right?
I don't know. I don't remember if they did or not, but I don't know where else it would be. I mean, it's a dock. It's got to be on a waterfront somewhere. I assume it was New York, but
it could be Boston. I mean, there's
Boston,
a lot of
I
harbors.
guess, but nobody had a Boston accent. But I'm pretty sure Terry's sounded like he was a New Yorker to me, but not that I'm an accent expert.
And I'm sure if we, could recognize the area, we would know more.
Yeah, that's probably true.
All right, well, let's say you're making this movie today, Eric Lane. How would you make it better? What would you do? Who would you cast? Or would you just not bother making this movie because it's stupid and nobody cares?
Well, I mean, I already kind of mentioned, I think you can make the movie about the Union stuff. Maybe you show some flashbacks of him as a boxer. Like, let's actually see a little bit of that and get the backstory. Make it more about the brother. You don't throw... I mean, $1 Million Baby is kind of that. I mean, there's kind of the sort of mix of boxing but then real-world stuff. Rocky's kind of that, too. Make it a boxing movie. This would be a better boxing movie. I'll leave it at that. Make it a boxing movie. Have, I don't know, Ryan Gosling play the boxer.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, sure.
And he's corrupt, and his brother's corrupt, and they go do corrupt things, and then at some point they decide they feel bad about doing corrupt things.
Yeah.
All right.
Because, so the end of this movie, right, after Brando's brother dies, Terry's brother.
Charlie the Gent.
It kind of turned into like some Rambo type story. Like he just goes like, I'm gonna go fuck everybody up, and he just heads out, goes down. He only ends up beating up the one guy, but he goes to the bar and has his gun. Like you could have turned it into some campy action movie where he just goes and Van Dammes everybody and just.
But the whole
takes them all
point
out.
of him, he fights. He does the fight right this time. He gets up. He doesn't take the dive. Right. He fights. He gets beat up and he stands up and he relieves himself of the trauma of not having won that fight. Right. That's his chance to do the fight right. That's him getting up and not taking the dive.
Oh, geez.
That's the whole thing in the script. I'm sure. It's just okay. Your biggest regret is this fight that you took a dive on. That was your chance to be a title contender. And you didn't do it. So, okay, now we're going to have him fight in the very end as a way of doing it correctly. He beats the guy. He's beating up the guy, and then they cheat, basically, because he's winning. So they have 5 people beat the crap out of him.
This is a terrible fight scene, by the way. I mean, that's the limitation of old movies. That looked really stupid.
I thought it looked pretty good.
Really?
It looked fine. I mean, I'm not saying it's not Raging Bull, but it looked fine. I believe they were fighting. That was all I needed. And then he's lying there and he gets up. And he doesn't take the dive. He gets up. And he, very Jesus kind of metaphor, he's getting the crap beat out of him and he suffers for the sins of pretty worthless dock workers, I have to say. Nobody stands up for him. They all just kind of stand there like dillweeds, not helping him.
Well, Willem Dafoe pushes the mobster guy off the...
Sure.
Eventually, when it was convenient for him.
Everybody, he goes there and it symbolically shows up. He's like, I'm a longshoreman. I'm going to work. And then they give everybody else work but him, and nobody says anything.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell are you guys doing? This
yeah,
guy
so that dad
stuck
was
his
a
neck
piece of
out
garbage.
for you.
Edie
Yeah.
and Joey's dad was just like,
You
whatever.
guys are frustrating me. Like,
Well, in the beginning, he was the one, like, you don't say anything. You just keep your mouth shut. He was the D&D guy, right?
And they viewed him...
Which
as
is weird
as
that
a
his
team.
son would be the one that was going to talk. Why didn't he just convince his son not to talk? That
I
was
think he disagreed with
was
his
a
son.
saint.
Yeah, his son was a good guy, and I'm sure he told his son, it's not gonna make sense. You're gonna get killed. Don't do it. It's bad for your health.
Why wasn't Edie mad at her dad for, like, protecting all these people?
Protecting who? Who was
The mobsters. Her dad could have went to the... Your dad knew exactly who killed her brother, his son. Why didn't he go to the
she
police?
knows her dad is a coward.
Well, he also was willfully deaf and dumb, so he probably didn't pay attention to what was going on, whereas, Joey probably was a little bit brighter and figured out what was going on.
Yeah, but I'm sure Willem Dafoe had more information about, like, the mobsters just in general. He'd been working there for 30 years.
Right.
He knew what they were doing.
Well, that's probably true.
But he's no canary. He doesn't sing. More birds, Eric. You're just disgusted. So you would just turn this into a boxing movie and screw ratting out the union, screw...
Well, you can put that stuff too.
Corruption.
It's just like where we're at now is he wasn't a boxer or he lost his shop because of his brother. Leave all that crap in there, about his brother and the gangster stuff. And now he's just some like depressed guy who has to work these docks and kind of just ignores what's happening.
And you want to work in more grab-assing too.
Way more grab-assing.
So you were disappointed when it stopped.
You want just no female characters, right? We'll just cut them out of the movie, and it'll just be the boys roughhousing.
A lot of longshoremen.
Female grab-assing too. I mean, this isn't a sexist movie we're talking about.
Oh, so you want there to be some female longshoremen getting rough and doing shots?
Why not? Sure.
I lifted more crates than you today, Eric.
Absolutely.
Pussy.
You could put the girl from Game of Thrones,
Emilia Clarke?
No. Brianna Tarth. Put her in there. She can lift more boxes than any of the dudes. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. I don't know.
I like that it tackled institutionalized power. I would change the way he goes about his crisis of conscience. I like that we didn't see... You criticize old movies for having bad action scenes. I don't know why you'd think a 1954 boxing match would be very compelling to watch. I'm glad we didn't see it.
The truck running them down actually looked kind of cool.
Oh.
I didn't think that was bad. It was suspenseful. There was there's a scene where they're in the alley and he has to like punch through the window to jump out of the way. I thought that was well done. I mean, looking at that, I was like, whoa, that looked really fake. It wasn't like the plane from Casablanca. It was actually looked good.
Okay, but I like that we didn't see boxing. I like that the heavy lifting was all done with the work of the face of Marlon Brando and the actor that played it.
Brando, you mean?
Brando. I thought the acting that they did with their face was really good. I mean, you could just feel the weight of that experience emotionally on them. We didn't need to see it acted out, the actual scene. We just saw them reacting to it. I felt like, okay, those characters are embodying that regret, and they're sharing in that joint regret that night, that mistake that led them to this horrible situation and horrible outcome. So I like that, and I like that it takes probably somebody who's pretty stupid to take on such entrenched power when odds are he's going to get killed and nobody's going to go to jail. I mean, I thought that was compelling. I like those stories because it's very tough to do. The odds are quite literally stacked against him in almost every way possible. So I wouldn't have it be romantically. I don't know. I'd have a different route. I like your casting choice. I think Baby Goose could do a good job.
Well, have you ever seen the movie Cinderella Man?
I have not.
It's a lot like it's the boxing side of it. Yeah, Russell Crowe takes place during the Depression. and he can't find work, and then he becomes a boxer. I think it's based on a true story.
Yeah.
But
he's like an older man. But
yeah, he's an older guy. Yeah, for sure. Okay.
So.
Yeah. Next thing, we're going to talk about 1-star reviews for Kevin Chang.
So there were only 10 negative reviews in the whole thing, and 6 of them were about the DVD quality. One person had the DVD playing German, couldn't figure out the different audio tracks, but some 4 actual negative reviews on the content. One by Marla B. On September 10th, 2015. It was titled "Bad Acting, Not Very Believable." 1 star. Only watched it because I had to for my cinema appreciation course. Thought the acting was horrible. At least many of the stars got better at acting when they got older. So he felt, by the time Brandau was doing Godfather, he got better, I guess. 1 star. So another one was actually one against Elia Kazan for being a pigeon, stool pigeon. Was a love letter to informing.
Oh, is that the metaphor? Is the stool pigeon somebody who rats?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I'm stupid. Okay.
Well, I think so. Elia Kazan names
canary.
to the HUAC in 1952, and 2 years later he came out with this love letter to informing. He informed on Zero Mostel and others in order to keep his job
the producers,
and to make sure that Zero was forced out of Hollywood for 2 decades. This next review is kind of confusing. It's a 1-star review, but the title of it is "But What a Great Movie." So this was written by Frank Sear in March 5th, 2015. Every character extremely overacted. True hambone, but what a great movie.
That's a 1-star review?
That's a 1-star review. So the acting was so bad that even though it was a great movie, I'm kind of reverse on that.
You think the acting was, well, with Brando, it was great, and it's not a great movie.
Yeah.
So what was that person's name?
His name was Frank Sear.
So you're a reverse Frank Sear.
I'm reverse Frank.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't make any sense. I think Marlon Brando's performance is the best reason to watch the movie.
I agree with that.
Yeah, it's literally the only reason to watch this movie.
He does.
And I would recommend watching the movie, just specifically for that performance, and specifically for that scene at the end with his brother.
So AFI, in its original list in 1998, has this movie is the 8th best movie ever made. The updated list, which came out in 2007, it dropped a bit. I don't know why or what the rankings are. It's all the way down to number 19.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Greatest movie of all time.
As more movies come around and as more people look back on these movies, it's not as good of a movie as...
There's no movies ahead of it that came out after 1998, but...
Yeah, no, but I'm saying, you
time will look more and
reevaluating.
more favorable to this movie, I think. As time goes on, it probably drop further and further down the list. What do you think? This movie won Best Picture in 1954. Are you a big fan of the Academy Awards? You think their taste is impeccable and they usually get it right? Did they get it right with On the Waterfront?
So not only did it win Best Picture, it won Best Actor for Brando. So. It won Best Supporting Actress for Ava Marie Saint. It won Best Director, Best Writing, Best Screenplay, Best Cinematography, Black and White. It was a separate category.
Is this Hollywood trying to kiss ass to the House of Un-American Activities? Why did it get so many awards?
Best Art Directing and Best Film Editing. So I mean, that's a lot. It's almost all of the awards that are available it won, which is crazy to me.
It was nominated for 11 and won 8, I think. Rear Window was the same year, and that was the #1 movie of the year.
Interesting.
And that is a far more entertaining movie.
Yeah, Cane Mutiny was also nominated. Rear Window was not that year.
No.
That makes me think the Academy Awards are not very good, Eric. What is your opinion on that?
Well, Are there a lot of other movies that were well known at that time? No, I think it's a criticism of older movies that this movie is considered one of the greatest of an era. Won Best Picture, won every award, and it's not even that good. This is the whole point of, you know...
So I think they got it right, and it's just an indictment on the film industry.
Yes.
It was the best movie.
Yeah, it probably was.
So
I think Rear Window was a better... flat out think Rear Window was a better movie than that. You disagree.
Well, Rear Window wasn't even nominated that year. I don't know if it was a different year.
Which means I think the Academy is dumb, is how I handle that cognitive dissonance. I say their opinion, their taste is...
I've seen Rear Window. I think Rear Window is better than this movie.
Okay.
For sure.
But it wasn't even nominated.
I mean, I've seen Dial M for Murder came out that year. A Star is Born with... now I'm not going to be able to... My goodness.
Dial M for Murder is a great movie.
Judy Garland is A Star is Born is a much better melodrama that's a lot more interesting about fame and alcoholism. That I think are a lot better. I haven't seen some of these other movies, but I hazard to guess there are better movies in here.
Wow, so that year for the Oscars, Best Supporting Actor, 3 people from this movie were nominated. And I guess they canceled each other out. So the DJ Cobb was the gangster guy, right?
Carl Malden.
Yeah.
He probably should have.
The brother and the dad, they were all nominated.
Wow. The dad was too?
The dad? I did not. Was
William Dafoe?
Oh, no. Sorry, Carl Malden was the preacher.
Yeah.
The priest.
The father.
Yes.
Not the dad.
So, just, widely, I think, hailed. And then we talked about the AFI. It was in the top 10 on their original list. I think that's insane.
Sure. Well, I don't think that's quite as insane as you make it seem, because it was Marlon Brando's best role. He was incredible in it.
It's not his best role. You think that's his best role?
Look out for this Godfather guy. He'll rip your face off.
There's Godfather. But in his prime, this was his best role. And it had the most cultural significance. It changed the way people acted from that moment on. You wouldn't have De Niro. You wouldn't have Pacino.
It's very historically relevant in terms of the method.
Brando.
I mean, Marlon Brando's on another level from all the other actors in the movie, for sure.
Yeah, in fact, to me, it seemed like he was in a different movie.
And given the context of what's happening in the 50s, I think it does, as a metaphor for what was happening, it works. I think it's interesting on that level. Not extremely interesting, not super fascinating, but I think it's interesting.
Okay.
But any other thoughts on on the Waterfront?
My just final thought is, I should set up a pigeon coop on my roof. I think that's what I need to do.
I think
I'd have a lot of fun. Yeah, it would be
would think it was cool,
an amazing experience. I could race them. I don't know how you race a pigeon, but you just...
so they fly at different speeds?
How do you race anything? Can you explain racing to me, generally speaking? I don't get the concept.
Everything about race.
Race wild animals. Okay, that
They're not
seems like
wild.
a hell of
They're
a feat.
domestic.
Pigeons aren't wild.
Pigeon. Okay.
How do dogs race? How does that work?
Well, they have a track, and they have like a device that the dogs chase.
Okay.
To race it. I mean, how would you race pigeons? I don't understand it. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm not as smart as you are.
Well, you have a point A, and then you have a point B. You see who can get to point B more quickly.
Right. Thank you for that appropriate description of what an actual race is. I know what a race is.
Oh, okay.
But how do you race a pigeon that can fly wherever it wants?
Well, you train them, right?
How do you train them to go from one place to the next?
You teach them to go to different places.
You don't know. You're bullshit.
How else would you do it? You would reward them with food.
So in Game of Thrones, they have ravens. Send a raven, whatever. You're fine with that. You just think the birds will just fly randomly, and eventually, wherever the bird lands, they'll get a message and be like, "Oh, like a message. It came to me randomly."
So he would set up 2 different points from like his roof to some other roof somewhere in New York, and they would fly the pigeons back and forth. And at the same time, they would see on the other end who gets there first, and then they'd run back and tell the other person how fast they got there. He and this little kid, that's what they would do?
Well, one could be on the other side, and they could race to them. Yeah, you could... Oh, look. Joey's bird came in first. Or in this case, Joey's bird got lost. So they do get lost, and Joey was...
Yeah, it would seem like a natural problem when you're sending wild birds to fly out.
They're not wild.
How are they not wild?
They're in a coop. They're fed on a.
I think my final thought.
Okay,
we can have
here's
a 20-minute
racing article on Wikipedia.
we can have a 20-minute discussion about pigeon racing,
Eric Lane.
about this stupid
It's the sport
fucking
of
movie.
racing specially trained racing pigeons, which then return to their homes over a carefully measured distance. The time it takes for the animal to cover the specified distance is measured, and the bird's rate of travel is calculated and compared with the other pigeon in the race to determine which animal returned at the highest speed.
This is peak podcast right here. Everybody take notes. If
I
anybody out
just
there
want Eric to learn
listening,
stuff. That
so we
can
can
race
take notes.
pigeons, it does
We
happen.
just spent 10 minutes
People
explaining how to race a
training
goddamn
pigeons to race
pigeon.
them. And here's a black and white picture of maybe a New Yorker, feeding some goddamn pigeons. Because you know what? They're everywhere, and what else are you going to do with those sky rats? Goodness. Do you accept that pigeon keeping and racing happens?
I just want to say a shout out to everybody in the world
Do you
who
believe?
races pigeons. You are my hero. I have nothing but respect for what you do.
My hero.
It's magical. Thank you. Goodbye.
Do you believe
Goodbye and good night.
Do you believe that pigeon racing happens?
No, it's not a thing. Good night. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.